I'll start things off. So the plan, you guys, is January 2022 that we pack up and we go to Paris. The class that you'll be taking is American Writers in Paris. It, like the movie you were just watching, is about Paris in the 1920s. In the 1920s, Paris was the so-called capital of modernity. It attracted a nearly endless list of American writers. Ernest Hemingway, F. Scott Fitzgerald, Sherwood Anderson, Ezra Pound, William Faulkner, John Dos Passos, Gertrude Stein, Juno Barnes, Kay Boyle, Mina Loy, Langston Hughes. I had to write these all down. Gwendolyn Bennett, Claude McKay, they all took the city as their home and as the subject of their writing. This class asks why. What drew American writers to Paris? And how did the historical conditions of metropolitan Paris help shape the practices and ideas of modernism? To answer these questions, we're going to examine modern American writing in its historical and cultural context. So we'll visit the cafes, the bookstores, the salons, the clubs, where these writers worked and shared their ideas. We'll see the location of Gertrude Stein's famous salon, where Picasso and Hemingway and all these others got together and argued about modernism. We'll go to the Select, which is where Jake Barnes and Brett Ashley hang out together and the sun also rises. We'll go to Shakespeare and Company, which was the bookstore that also served as a salon for modernists where they got together and shared ideas, but also was responsible for publishing James Joyce's masterpiece, Ulysses. We will also talk about how the literature that we're reading intersected with developments in modern art. So we'll spend time going to some of the greatest museums in the world. We'll be at the Louvre, the Musée d'Orsay, the Orangerie, the Picasso Museum, the Pompidou. We'll have guided tours in some of these museums so that we can learn to better understand what's happening in modern art and then be drawing connections to what's happening in modern literature, as we'll be taking this kind of inner arts approach, putting the two things together. We'll also be listening to music, hearing the jazz that's inspiring Langston Hughes. We'll go to this little jazz club across from Notre Dame where we'll be able to dance the Charleston. We'll go to this cabaret, which is the cabaret that Picasso used to hang out with and hear some singing. If there's interest, maybe we can even get ourselves tickets to ballet or the opera. So we'll also be connecting to what's happening musically in the 1920s. So imagine this, right? During the day, you'll spend your time sitting in sidewalk cafes, reading and writing, going to the art museums, and then in the evenings, hanging out in jazz clubs, cabarets. It's gonna be good. It's really gonna be good, you guys. Class time. So how our days will be structured is we'll start our class usually in the class center in IES, which is Montparnasse, which is right in the neighborhood where Hemingway and all these guys were living and hanging out. We'll start class for about an hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours each day, having class discussion. And then from there, we'll move out into the city for field work. So we might, if we're talking about colonialism, go next to the Arab Museum and then talk about it over a Moroccan lunch. Usually our class time together will wrap up by 1 o'clock or 2. It depends on the day. But after that, you'll be free to explore the city. And so what I might do is say, now that we're in this neighborhood, this would be a perfect day for you guys to go check out Notre Dame. Or this is, right around the corner is the Moulin Rouge. Maybe you guys want to go check that out. But the class will be structured with sort of class time in the beginning, field work, and then some free time. And then in evenings, we will sometimes get together for dinners. Other times you'll be sort of on your own, cooking in your housing and so on, but maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Sightseeing. I know that this is what's drawing a lot of you to want to go to Paris. I mean, I'll leave it at that. Picnics under the Eiffel Tower, Mass in Notre Dame, riding your bike down the Champs-Élysées. Lots and lots of things you'll be able to do. There's shopping, fun flea markets to go to, bookstore. Shakespeare and Company is such a neat place. We'll be talking about gender roles, for example, in sun also rises. And when we do that, we'll learn about Coco Chanel. So maybe afterwards we'll go together to check out the Chanel store. So there'll be opportunities on some occasions to sort of connect the sort of sightseeing experiences to what we're doing in class. And when we can, I'll throw those out as like optional. If anybody wants to go today to see, you know, the Chanel store, come along. I think one of the highlights is likely to be the food. That's always one of the hardest parts for me is when I come back, getting used to missing all of this incredible food. Just about on every block, there's these little boulangeries and patisseries that have, you can see the display there of the most amazing little cakes and eclairs, and they're everywhere. I mean, just every day you go by and you stop in one and you pick up another little treat. There's crepes, cheese fondue, ice cream. There will be 5 meals that are included in the program. But other meals will be handled individually. And the reason that we're doing that is so that, I mean, how much you spend on food can vary quite a bit, right? So by having 5 meals included as a group, if you're on a budget and you don't want to go out for dinners every night, you have the ability to buy groceries and cook in your dorms. If you do have more money to spare, you'll also have the opportunity to do that as well. So this brings me to housing. Housing will be, it's called Citadine. What we've requested is this place called Citadines in Montparnasse. It's not confirmed yet that this will be the exact location, but it'll be something like this. We'll have kitchens, again, so that you'll be able to go to the grocery store, buy food, and cook for yourselves. They'll have internet. I believe we'll be in doubles. This gives you just sort of a floor plan of one of the double rooms, so you can see that there's the bed in one area and then a pull-out couch in the other. But nice, you know, little kitchen space, private. And again, it's just around the block from where we'll be having our classrooms, and just around the corner really from the cafes where we'll be spending a lot of our time working as well. What does it cost? So let me see here. The program cost includes your airfare. It includes your transportation, metro passes, housing, and some museum passes, all of it to the tickets. And it comes to $4,300. When you apply your Augie Choice, however, take down $2,000, you're at what, $2,300? When you add in your food costs, and here's where it's kind of harder for me to estimate, but I'm guessing around $700, $800. Again, it really does depend on how frugal you are and how good you are at stretching a buck. That number could go down or could go up depending on, yeah, how you like to eat. But I think you're probably around total for the program, about a $3,000 program when you factor in Augie Choice. But I'll also plug too that the college has passport grants that are $1,000 that you can apply for also to take some money off of the cost of the program. So next steps, talking to your family, talking to your friends. This is not a program that's just for English majors or creative writing majors. It carries a PL, so friends that might be in different majors that are looking for that learning perspective might be drawn in to come with us as well. Let me know too. If you're sort of you're at the point where you're like, yeah, I'm doing this. I'd love to know so I can kind of keep track of where we are with our roster. If you want to start dreaming some more, Midnight in Paris is available on Amazon Prime right now. It's a good one to watch this weekend. Rick Steves' videos about Paris are always, when I'm starting to get geared up for a trip, I always go back and watch those again because I'm just excited to get going. Applications will open November 1st, and the link is there on the slideshow, but also can be found from the Study Abroad program's website. That's my pitch, you guys. So let me stop and ask you what questions you might have, things that you want to know more about, or you think your friends or your family might want to know more about.